Well, hello, friend. Welcome to another episode of Van Life Living in New York. I'm out at a preserve in the middle of nowhere. The only people that I've seen out here since I got here was two mountain bikers that went out and backed this preserve. And because it's a Thursday afternoon, so I figured there'd be nobody out here. You got to go over underwater bridges and things to get here. So it would be a great classroom where I wouldn't disturb anybody, right? Not that I'm really a teacher, I'm a messenger. I'm giving you a message, right? Jesus himself said, call no man teacher, I'm your teacher, right? He's my teacher. So my teacher is the words in red, right? So that's what I'm always talking to you about, is the words in red. And that's what I want you to understand, right? So today I'm going to talk to you about, Jesus had a statement that he made, right? And he talked about being innocent as doves, but wise as serpents, right? So here's kind of my dilemma, right? A lot of Christians are wise as serpents, but they're not as innocent as doves. And then there's a lot that are innocent as doves, but not wise as serpents, right? They're one or the other. I'm hoping there's going to be enough of you out there that are both, right? And if not, if you're innocent as a dove and you're not wise as a serpent, I'm hoping this video makes you wise, friend, right? So that's what I'm here to do, is to wise you up. I want to give you a couple things that's going on, but first I'm going to start off. I'm going to give you some truths that I'll be quite honest with you, are scary. If you're, on my channel, it's marked not for kids. This is not a children's channel. This is for adults that need to know what's coming, right? You're supposed to be taking care of your kids. So they don't need to know these things, but you do. So anyway, well, let's start off with talking about God as omnipresent, right? Okay, friend. Well, omnipresent means that my Father's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He has no form, right? And a lot of Christians don't think about that. So when you're listening to people teach you religion, you're not really putting logic to it, right? So I'm here to show you some different things. So if this is the beginning of creation, we know Satan was before the beginning of creation, right? Because Satan was cast into creation. So, and even if he was at the same time, you understand that my Father knew the end in the beginning, and since Satan's created, that's the point, right? So, the Father knew the end in the beginning. So, even here, he knew the end. It's important that you're thinking about that and understanding this concept if you're going to think about God and you're going to try to make sense of the Bible, right? Because if you don't look at the omnipresent, well, hello, pup. How are you? How are you? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Beautiful day to be out.
It's a little sticky, but it'll do.
Yeah, That's why I found a spot with shade.
Got it.
Have a good one. So when you're trying to make sense of the Bible, his omnipresence is important because people keep trying to put this Bible together without that thought in mind, right? So what that's telling you is that even before he created Satan, he knew the end, right? This was all known back here. It literally states that in the Bible, right? Jesus talked about it. Genesis talks about it. It doesn't matter where it's all talked about. It's just talked about, right? That the Father knew the end in the beginning. And even if Jesus didn't outright state that, I don't remember if he said it in those words, but he told you how the end of the age was going to work, right? So we're at the present, but then we also have end of age. So, since Christ was talking, say we go back here and we put Christ here in this time frame. So Christ knew this there, right? Because he told you he did. He told you at that time, he said that the end, it would be like, because it's the end of the age, not the end of the world. A lot of people think it's the end of the world. That is over here, but over here, the end of age, this is the reign of Christ. Right? So you can't, so since the end of the age, then there's the reign of Christ. And these are the words Jesus said about the end of the age. He said, if my Father did not shorten those days, no flesh would survive. But because he did shorten those days, flesh would survive, right? The elect. He said only the elect will survive. So the elect. Now, I hope you realize that that isn't matching up with what they're talking about pre-tribulation rapture. All of you get out, and then it's done, right? So there's a whole lot more going on here that you need to be being aware of. So what I want you to understand is, part of that is also, he said after 1,000 years, Satan was going to escape his cage, right? So let me write that on there. Right? That is in Revelation about Satan's escape at the end of Christ's reign of 1,000 years. Here's the dilemma with that. Y'all think at the end of the age you're going to get judged and people are going to go get cast in hell for eternity and get locked up there with the devil forever. Well, guess what? Devil gets back out, right? Y'all getting that the church is not making logic of what it is they're talking about, right? They're not putting the whole thing together. They're taking pieces here and pieces there and slapping it up. I'm not here to tell you I got the truth. I'm here to tell you, take a look at what I'm talking about and see if there's some logic to it. Because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about here in a couple minutes. We're going to talk about the end game, right? Christian end game, right? What you should be worried about and why it is that America's Mystery Babylon. And I'm going to play this war games out for Christians. This is for Christians. Nobody else is going to even be listening to me at this point in the game, probably. But this is what you're going to need to know, what's coming up. And I'm going to do some war games, meaning I'm going to show you some things that are going on right here in America in the future, and I'm going to show you how they're going on. And the reason I'm telling you this is the dragon has almost got you in checkmate. I don't know if you can make the right moves to save the game or not, but I'm going to show you how checkmated you are, and I'm going to play out some war game scenarios that if you don't want to seek the kingdom right now, don't you watch this video, because it's going to be scary, and I'm going to give you all kinds of scenarios of the future that you're going to see, and some of it's just downright eminent. It's proven geology. Some of it's scenarios. I'm going to give you some places on how I learned these things, right? Because it's not in one place. But everybody thinks that everybody that's talking about this is a paranoid conspiracy theorist. They even considered Robert Kennedy to be a conspiracy theorist, and he was your only hope to get out of here, right? I mean, Donald Trump, I know you guys love him because he's not the Democrats. The Democrats are basically turned socialist, right? And they are trying to do something, but they think they're doing it and they're not. And Donald Trump thinks he's going to do something else, and he's not, because the dragon owns this country and the entire world, the one world order. You're much further along than you realize you are. And that's why I'm here talking to you today, because the game is nearing its checkmate moves. However, understand that Satan can't win this game, right? Because my Father said so. Because my Father knew the end in the beginning. So Satan was never going to win this game, because my Father knows everything and Satan's shooting blind, right? He makes plans for the future, but he doesn't know how to carry him out, and he's got to outguess God when God knew the end in the beginning. That means every sneaky thought that this thought of Satan actually had, my Father knew he had it before he even did, right? So when you're trying to make sense of things, look at it this way. Jesus said that what you loose on earth, you loose in heaven, right? If he's told the truth, he's the truth and the life. So if he told you the truth, what do you think heaven looks like right now? Do you think he was trying to tell you, don't let the days of Noah return, and we have? Right? So where are you going to go to heaven if it looks like earth? Why is it nobody's putting any logic to their religion? Right? All right, well, let me get set up for the next thing. I am, yeah. Yeah, I do YouTube videos on Jesus and what's going on in the world. Huh?
What about God?
Well, God too.
Well, wait a minute. They're two different things. This is God. This is how I worship.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
However, Jesus said, I'm in the Father and the Father's in me.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it this way, check this out. I'm not your typical Christian.
Neither am I. I
Right.
grew up in a Presbyterian church.
That's why I love having a conversation.
Yeah.
I did too.
My sister is a minister. She's an ordained Presbyterian minister. And we have discussions all the time.
Oh yeah, I love having discussions. I'm one of those people that don't care about. I'm not attached to the way everybody else is about it. That's what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wake people up to their.
God is not this dude that's running the show.
He's part of the show.
No, God is this feeling that's it's out of your consciousness, but it serves to nurture your spiritual growth. M. Scott Peck said that, and I don't have it quoted quite right. That nurtures your spiritual growth. Anyway, God is not a thing. God is between everything. It's all God here. This is all God.
I agree. He's in us.
A tree is God. Everything is God.
I agree.
You have to appreciate it.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Having a substitute like someone to represent God, don't need it.
Well,
I really, honest to God,
right.
I grew up with Jesus. And
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, but I'm just going to show you something.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about it. They said that Christ was the Word, and then creation was made through him. So I'm not talking about Jesus being God. I'm talking about Jesus being the representative to God.
There you go.
And the world was creating through him. Yeah. So whatever I do to you, I do to my Father because I do it to the Son. So we're in my way of seeing it, and literally in the Bible it says this.
Yeah.
Because Jesus literally said the Father's greater than I. Christians do not listen to what he said.
I think they misinterpreted when they said he and Son. They should have left it at it and a person who is trying to teach you God, like the teacher,
right?
Instead of the Son and the Father, because that gets simple people really screwed up.
Well, I'll tell you the truth though. There's a reason he did it that way, because I'm not talking about church.
For simple people.
For simple people, and I read a red letter edition of the Bible, right? So I don't care about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
That was before the law. Jesus said, offenses must come, but woe to those who bring them. So I can't go around killing anybody because...
You're getting that quote from a book, so you got to be a little careful about it.
Oh, no, that book's accurate. Well, I'm going to tell you...
and I'm skeptical about that because there are so many times in the book that they say things that lead people to believe, in my opinion, an incorrect way. So
I agree.
The whole book.
I agree with you.
The Holy Bible, no matter what version you look at, actually the Quran, they're trying to teach people to love each other. That's the whole deal. Love is the whole deal in the books. Like John Lennon realized that, and he tried to tell people this, of course. But if they had spent as much time in the Bible as they did talking about hurting this person and going there and doing and loving people, which is what Jesus was trying to do. He's trying to teach people to love each other, just love each other, get along, feed each other, and it's gotten lost in these churches, these modern churches.
I agree with you. Everybody's arguing over things that don't have any meaning.
No, they have zero meaning.
Right.
That's right.
But this is an interesting statement Jesus made, and people don't put this in. This is the one that made me want to throw the Bible down and be done with God a long time ago. Jesus.
They're two different things, by the way, so that's okay.
Well, it doesn't matter, but he came to represent the Father and gave us all these messages. The kingdom is like. He was telling us how to find it.
Exactly, he was a representative.
So,
and other religions believe Muhammad was a representative. And other religions, now Buddhists are different. I kind of tend to be more Buddhist than anything, but
I get what you're saying because they have it half right.
yeah,
We're all in God.
Yeah.
That's half right.
Yeah, we are.
However, there is a consciousness higher than us called God
Yeah.
that is actually creating all this for himself, even though he's doing it for us and he loves us.
Say he, you should say it.
I know,
but
but
everybody says he because
Right.
that's what you've been conditioned to say. When I was a little boy, I was he at the
if he has no form, he has no penis, and therefore he is not a man.
Well,
Or a woman. He is neither.
yeah, no.
He is, like you said, capital I itself.
all encompassing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
However, understand that I'm on a Christian. I talk to Christians.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wake them up and get them to think outside the box.
That's a good idea.
Because we're at a stage in the game where we're going to need every Christian we can to pull off to get.
Oh man.
Because right now
We are in a heap of shit.
we are, and they think they're going to follow Trump to save him, and Trump ain't going to save him, but neither is Kamala,
Well,
and all of that.
Trump's probably the guy that has it right because he understands there's a Kabbalah behind this whole mess.
Right.
And he knows that, and they can't push him around. And that's
It's
why-
called Megacorp.
Yeah, and that's why he's in so much trouble because they're
Yeah, that's why they tried to kill him.
He's
Right.
not really in trouble. He's more the outsider that wants to try to make things a little better than what they are because he understands that it's going down the toilet. And I don't know.
Robert Kennedy would have been the better choice of the three, because if he would have ran, he's the only one that's putting together the BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own this entire nation. They're buying up our housing. They own all the other corporations.
I have $500,000
Megacorp.
in Vanguard.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, they're babysitting $500,000 for me. So it's like, oh man.
yeah.
Yeah, that was not good news for me to hear. But anyway.
Yeah, well, the truth of the matter is, everybody in the nation, I don't care whether you work in a factory and you've only got $100, if it's in 401k, it's with BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street through one company or
I've
another.
also got that much in Morgan Stanley, and they seem to be more diverse, but they own BlackRock.
Right, and BlackRock owns them.
Well, yeah.
And so does Vanguard and State Street. I've literally got on the Yahoo Finance.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
we are a monopoly. There is no other corporation but Mega Corporation. They all own each
They
other.
control everything.
And that's the reason we're about to take a big dive. They're, that, all of a sudden, why do I forget his name sometimes? He's buying up all the farmland out west.
Oh, well, one of them is Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Okay, and the other one is, the other mega billionaire is buying up a lot of land. I know Ted, what's his name with the Turner? Ted Turner owns billions of acres out there too.
Well,
of course, he bought up when it was cheap.
So this is what's going on if you look at a conglomerated form. They're buying up all the farmland, except for they're not into farming, so they're not farming it. They're actually into fake meat and they're the reproduced cells. That's what he's into. So he is killing our thing while he's investing in his. Yeah. The problem is, we already know the economy's in trouble. Oh, yeah. When the economy collapses, they're checkmating us right now, and nobody can figure that out. When they own our housing,
average person can't figure that out because
they're too scared.
They watch the news on TV and they're told what they're supposed to know, and then they don't look into they don't look into anything else.
Right.
It's kind of a shame.
I know, and that's
this Kabbalah, the deep state that owns all this stuff.
Right.
We got to do something about it. I don't know what to do.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Because here's the key to me.
Yeah.
The key is Christians.
Well,
people don't believe in an eternal life, except for Christians for the most part, and Muslims.
Yeah.
But Muslims think they can kill people. I can't use them. I can't.
Yeah, they're told they get 40 virgins and all this.
Yeah, which actually is not even that's not even in the Quran. That's in the what do they call that? There's another book.
Okay.
And it's based on the probability. It's listed in the probability of that Muhammad said that.
Yeah, probability.
It is at the very low probability that Muhammad said that. When you look at the Muslim religion, it is not what people think, and that one actually, their book doesn't pan out
what I
with
said
history.
In the beginning was growing up in the Presbyterian Church. I was molded that way. You were molded in the Christian faith. People over in Iran are molded in, I guess it's Muslim.
Right.
There's a couple different ones, but mostly Muslim. People in India, there are so many different religions in India. So everybody's
Right.
molded to believe what it is. Okay, we'll go.
He's-
They're all molded to believe what it is that they learned from when they're children. That's really hard to change their mind. Really hard.
Yeah, I know.
But I agree okay. Well, I agree with you. The Christians are going to have to stick together.
We have to unite this nation in love, or else they're gonna.
And I
The only
know-
way to stop it
I know
is
you
to
can't
make a new
use-
choice.
You can't use the pulpit to teach politics.
Well, I'm not.
But no, I'm saying my sister has that problem.
Oh, okay.
But my sister's a Democrat. She changed registration to Democrat years ago, and she thinks Kamala Harris is probably going to make everything right.
I was a registered Democrat till I woke up because I worked in mental health, and they provide more money for the people that need help. However, I did not realize that they were turning us into a totalitarian system, which looks like socialism, but it's far worse. It's much more like fascism. Instead of one Hitler, we got 1,000 Hitlers running megacorp.
See, there's a problem with the capitalism, because the way our government is established with the three different branches as a constitutional republic, not a democracy, and people confuse that. We are not a democracy.
I agree with you. I preach that
If
too.
we were a democracy, we'd be taken over by now.
Right.
But the constitutional republic, as long as it's held up, it's going to work. But boy, is it being challenged.
Yeah, well, they're saying that the constitutional republic doesn't exist, and that's what the Democrats are saying because that's what's in their way.
Well, when Trump was in, he got 3 justices. So they're saying that he tilted that. Well, no, those justices are independent brains.
Right.
They can decide what they want to decide. And some of them have made decisions against what Trump would think. So the check and balance system seems to be working so far. I just hope we can hang in there with it.
Right. Well, I think I personally.
We got to tell people that we need to stick with this constitutional republic, no matter what.
Well, our conversation is going to be heard because I left it on. I will add it as part of our thing because I have about 7,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not popular like most of these people.
Yeah.
I've been creeping up a little at a time. And tell you the truth, it's better off because if the dragon ever saw me talking about the megacorp and all that, you know they'd kill me in a minute. Because I'm laying out what they're trying to hide.
If you had 7 million followers, you'd be dangerous.
Right.
Them.
Right.
And isn't that sad?
Right. Well, they've already discredited everybody that actually was dangerous to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you ever heard of Alex Jones?
Yes.
Now, see, he was dangerous to them. He predicted 9/11 in July before September 11th happened. Said they're going to allow a terror attack. It's going to be in New York and hit the towers. And since before he could get out, they discredited him because they had to, because otherwise all of America right now would know that our own government set up those 3,000 people to die. It was not the Muslims. It was our own government did it. And he has proof of that in the documents.
I'm also skeptical about that.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I saw an interview on there with him and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And he said the book has I did not buy the book because I'll tell you the truth. I already know all this stuff's going down. I don't care if he's wrong about one thing or not. They showed the video on there, a quick clip of it.
Yeah. How about Tucker losing his job?
I know.
We knew that was going to happen.
But that's why he's great now, because he's no longer controlled by the corporations. He's talking truth. Brett Weinstein, he's got some really good people coming on there.
My little girl really needs to go.
Yep.
But it's been a pleasure.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Well, folks,
And for what it's worth, God is blessing us right now.
I absolutely agree. And no matter how bad it gets, life will go on. For some of us, anyway. Have a great day. Folks, I'm going to if the conversation comes out okay on the mic, I'm going to leave that conversation in because it has a lot to do with the conversation that I'm going to bring up with you. But the one I'm going to bring up with you is even far more than that. Right, so since I'm going to leave that in, I'm going to just start with that. So him and I were just talking about how Bill Gates, and he gave a name of another guy, but all these high-end elites are buying up all your farmland, but they're not farming it. If you don't understand what that means, it means they're taking control of the food supply. If you go listen to a lot of different channels, if you actually go listen to a lot of shorts, I know how to kind of manipulate the algorithms, not because I do, but because I watch certain stuff. I get a lot of the farmers stuff. I get Doug and Stacy with out off-grid living. And so I listen, there's a lot of different people I listen to. So I know a lot of people that know a lot of things. I myself know nothing, but all of these different people know something. Like you just heard me talking about Alex Jones. A couple videos ago, I put an interview of Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson in the bottom of that video. I don't think I'm going to do it with this one, but that link takes you to X because it's not on YouTube, it's on X, right? But there's some other ones that I'm going to probably put on here. There's one called like 536 AD, I think. It's about a super volcano, but it's far more than that. There's a whole big information that you're going to get off of that. And that's going to be relevant because of what's out here in the Midwest, right? So I'm going to give you some things of what's going on. America is Mystery Babylon. I've been telling you. Now, you could change that by repenting and make a new choice, right? Jonathan Cahn has been telling you America's been getting its harbingers and it's not going to make it. I'm here to tell you, you're not going to make it. Unless, of course, we can make it if we make a new choice. But if Christians don't make a new choice, we are not going to make it. I want you to understand that. There's just no way, right? And I'm going to show you the setup on this nation. And I went through this just the other day in a couple of videos. I went into more detail, but I'm going to just lay it out in a kind of a quickie because I want you to understand how Satan has checkmated you, or thinks he has, but my father's checkmated Satan. But you're not going to be able to get the whole picture. Okay, friend. So I'm going to give you kind of a geological map of the U.S., and I'm not 100% of all the different ones, but everything I'm telling you, like I told you the other day, you can look up. There's a fault line on the East Coast, which is the Cascadia. And I actually put San Andreas out there, but it's not. It's in here. It's actually onshore, right? So scratch that. So the Cascadia Fault, which is part of the Pacific Rim fault lines that circle the Pacific Ocean, right? So, but the Cascadia Fault's due in the next 50 years. The New Madrid is due in the next 50 years. You get that? So, different geologists I've heard say that both of these are on the same time schedule. It was not the same biologist. He was not trying to scare you. Different biologists have said different things, right? And there's biologists that study, or not biologists, geologists that study the Cascadia, and there's geologists that study the New Madrid, right? So that's the reason people don't necessarily get what's going on, because even if they're geologists, they might be studying one and not the other. So this is for you to go check out. I never encourage you to believe a word I say. I encourage you to do some research. I have a YouTube playlist called Clues to the Kingdom, and then I have another one that's Secular Clues to the Kingdom, but I'll be quite honest with you, I never really got to filling that one up. I made it recently and just never got around doing much with it because I've had other things to do. But in the Clues to the Kingdom, it's got all kind of secular things, non-secular. I've got a playlist called Proof of God, showing you some things that are far more, that if you don't believe in God, to give you some witness to the fact that he is. And then there's even more than that in Clues to the Kingdom, but I wanted to keep that channel or that playlist short so people were going to not get overwhelmed by opening up that playlist. That's going to be people that are trying to decide if they want to believe in God. Some of the videos in there will show you things that if you follow through, you will discover there is a God, right? So you have this Cascadia fault line that when it goes off, it always sets off to San Andreas, according to the geologists that I've heard, because it's a huge fault line. And it has, at least that's what the geologist said. Geologists that I was listening to, and I've heard multiple ones, but I know I heard at least one say that this one typically sets off the San Andreas in history. So it just is what it is. Then you have the New Madrid, which is actually, you thought that this one was the biggest one in America, the San Andreas, but it's not. The New Madrid is the biggest one in recorded history since we've been here. Cascadia hasn't gone off since we've been here, right? But since the foundation of America, however. So the Cascadia, so San Andreas was a huge earthquake, but that wasn't the biggest. The New Madrid earthquake was the worst. But it was a frontier back then, so some cabins fell and all that. But literally, it reversed the flow of the Mississippi River, and you can find history on that. And I had a gentleman listening to one of my videos one time that went and researched it and came back on and reported he found it and gave some detail that he found on it, right? So this isn't stuff that I'm making up. This is all stuff that's on documentaries. You can know that Bill Gates is buying up farmland. It's no secret, right? He's heavily invested in fake meat. It behooves him to get rid of cattle, right? You get that. And these corporations are the ones that own everything now. So our food supply, I don't care whether it be cattle or whether it be wheat, they're buying it all up. And there's hardly, the farmers are getting knocked out systematically, intentionally. And what that's going to do is it's going to conglomerate your food supply. This is where we get into war games, right? Of looking at the end game of what they're doing. Why would they be doing all this? Are they just that stupid? Do they not see that if the economy crashes and the corporations fall, that they're going to kill us by having control of our food? Because if these corporations go bankrupt, if something goes wrong and they go down, and the corporations own it, we're not talking if one corporation goes down and takes a quarter of our entire food supply out, what do you think happens? Do you get it? And there's people moving out here in the middle of nowhere, right? They think that's going to save them. The problem is you all aren't thinking about what you're thinking about. If we're going to do a war game scenario here, I want you to understand what I'm saying and why it is that I'm telling you I'm the spirit of Judas. You think of the counterfeit Christ as someone that's coming to be secretive about who he is and to try to kill you all. That's not what it was talking about in Revelation. Y'all have mistranslated that. Do you realize that that rider rode my father's white horse of power? Do you think my father's going to give Satan his horse and let him wear his crown? Right? So you misinterpreted some things going on. And the sword that represented where the one has the sword, it's in his mouth. That's truth. Double edge. Love, truth. That's God's truth. He loves you, and he is the truth. And so that rider comes swinging truth. He has a tongue swinging truth, love, truth, love. However, you're either going to get this or you're not, because Satan is going to make a move. Megacorp. You heard me talking to him about Megacorp. You can go to Yahoo Finance and look up the top shareholders of all the different corporations, and you're going to find all the corporations own each other. Mainly BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own the majority shares of all the other corporations in America. This is a monopoly. However, then other corporations own shares in them. The only one that's hiding, and I'm sure that's probably where the guy that you're calling Antichrist is probably in Vanguard. Because Vanguard is not publicly traded like State Street and BlackRock. So there it's harder to figure out who owns the huge shares in Vanguard, right? So all your truly evil people can hide there in Vanguard and not be seen. I saw somebody that pulled up some names. I don't remember what they were. They were big names. They were like important people. But I'm not going to even quote them because I don't remember which ones they were. And if you want to, you can go figure it out, right? I'm not here trying to scare you to death. However, we have to play this war game scenario so that you get that if you Christians don't do something, you're going to do nothing, and you think you're getting out before this all goes down. And that isn't what Jesus said. He told you only the elect were going to survive. The Christian church has lied to you. Jesus said that to those that prayed, prophesied, and cast out demons in his name, he was going to say, I don't know you. If you are not if you have not risen in the spirit of love, you do not have oil for your lamp. You're not going to make it to the door to the wedding. Jesus said so much more, and they've said so little, and they only look at what they want to believe the truth they've got. That is not the way to survive the end of the age. It's not the way to get eternal life. You're not going to have it. Offenses must come, but woe to those who bring them. What are you going to do when you and your family run out of food? Are you going to go steal from your neighbor to save them? Are you a wolf in sheep's clothing? You're not getting this, what's going on. And I'm going to get something else, because I'm telling you, this is a war games thing here. I don't want you listening. If you're getting scared and can't look, then don't. Hang up the video. They are putting everybody on psychiatric medication because everyone is falling mentally ill because there's no logic in the world. Your kids can't grow up and make logic of the mess that we've got going on. So they're going to fall mentally ill, right? It's just the way it is. Because they're going to ask, Daddy, Mommy, why is it that boy went to school and shot 50 people? What kind of logical answer are you going to give them, folks? I had that situation with my nephew at our dinner table. How do you explain that to a kid trying to seek logic? So I'm telling you something, friend, and then you're going to have to tell them, oh, but God loves you. This gets hard for a child to understand, especially when you've already lied to him about the first deity called Santa Claus and told him that he knows when you're naughty or nice. Y'all aren't thinking what you're thinking about. So anyway, you've got all that going on. Then you've got BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. The reason your housing market is going way up, and Robert Kennedy told you this, but nobody voted it. He didn't get the support he needed. I did not support him. My father told me I'm out of this run. When he brought me back into the wilderness, he said, if they want to die, let them die. If they want to live, let them live. You're going to tell them the truth. You're not, but you're not going to go vote and try to, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know Robert Kennedy well enough to say that he is your pick, except for the fact that he's telling you BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own everything. He's telling you your government is corrupt at all levels. He is telling you it needs fixed. And he had some really good ideas on how to fix it. And you can know that by go listening to the interviews done by Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil interviewed him. And you will see that he had not only, and Dr. Phil was backing up. The things that you think he's crazy for about BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, Dr. Phil knew that it was going on. Along with the healthcare system and the way that we're the sickest country almost in the world at this point. We're all physically ill, plus mentally ill. Now, we're mentally ill. When they collapse the system and all your food disappears, what do you think is going to happen to your medical supplies? What are you going to do when you've got all these people that aren't used to coping with anything? Their mind is so weak that the moment you take them off medication, they are not going to be able to cope with reality, especially the one they're going to wake up to when they come off the meds. Are you getting that? So you've got half of America medicated, and they're going to make it happen so that as you're more stressed than you've ever been, people are going to not be able to get medication if the economy collapses. Do you get what that means? Do you know what that does to a person? Do you know what they're going to do to you? Do you have a clue? I worked in mental health, friend. Everybody that gets angry and hurts somebody, they put on meds. You're not getting it. Then they put them back out in the community because it's not that they're evil people. They don't have good skills to manage stress and all that because nobody taught it to them. Mental health's trying to turn that direction. The corporations won't allow it. They are drug addicts or they're drug dealers. They don't want you to get better. They want you to stay medicated. And then at the end, when there's no medication at the crash, you're going to become their weapons. Your family members, your neighbors are going to be their weapons. I'm giving you a scenario here you don't want to understand. But if I don't give it to you, you're not going to see it. Do I know that I'm going to get killed for this? Almost guaranteed. I told you I've got a loophole in my Father's law. You guys aren't getting that Jesus and Judas created Yom Kippur. I've told you all of this video after video. I hope you've been sharing it. I hope that your friends aren't going to be stuck in the dark because you were so prideful that you didn't want to look to see what was really going on. Right? And my Father's going to hold you accountable. If you hear the truth and you do nothing with it, you're going to owe the debt because you wouldn't enter the kingdom and you won't let them enter either. Jesus said the kingdom would not be said to be here or there, but the kingdom of God would be said to be within you. If he's the truth, so is that. He's not a liar. I have the kingdom. I don't like telling you these things, but my Father keeps me in peace, love, and joy, even though I know that this is my future, friend. Can you see what I'm telling you? My future is jails, institution, and death. You get that? You get that I have to be willing to die in order to live, to give you this message, because everybody's going to want me dead for it. I hope you're getting that. I'm sacrificing myself for my Father, but somebody already went on his altar. That's why I'm counterfeit. Get it? Christ already did it. Everybody since him is a counterfeit. Martin Luther King Jr., counterfeit. Right? Do you know why he's a counterfeit Christ? Because he died for you and my Father. He told you he was talking to God. God led him all the way. Do you think? But since he didn't outright tell you the truth, what he was doing and why, and how he did it, he did tell you, but he did it kind of in a secret way. Same thing with a lot of other people. Priests went and got burnt at stakes because they stood against the Catholic Church. You get that? That's counterfeit Christs. They died for people, but getting burned at the stake is like falls in the classification of crucifixion. You get that, right? They roasted them to death, and they went for you because they wanted the truth to be known. They didn't want to be letting the church teach hypocrisy. The Catholic Church murdered their own priests at stakes. They burnt them to death. Do you get that? I sure hope you do. Because if you're counting on the church, you're counting on the wrong thing. Because they are so divided, you all can't make a stand. I am here to divide your house. But I'm trying to get you to reunite it. Because the Baptists are Baptist, and the Methodists are Methodist, and the Catholic are Catholic, and this one's this one, and that one's that one, and you got 1,000 different religions, and all of you are a bunch of snakes and cowards hiding behind your theology. I don't care what you think, friend. You get a red letter edition of the Bible, it's time to make a stand, and we're going to have a Christ revolution, or your children are going to die in the aftermath. Do you get that? If you can't stand against Satan, Megacorp, if you can't do something, they're taking you down. The Christian church is our only hope. You're the only ones. If you fight, if you Christians that have guns that are sons of Satan, meaning sons of selfishness, if you take a gun battle to our government and to Megacorp, you are going to justify them turning our own army against us. They will declare martial law, and they will get exactly what they want. Because once they get control of this nation, you're done. The only way to do this is a Christ revolution. People are going to have to become willing to die in order to live, but never kill. Can you do it? Are you ready? Are you ready for the kingdom? He who saves his life will lose it, but he who loses it for my sake will gain it. Are you ready to lose it for my Father and for your neighbor? I hope so, friend. Because if you're not, you ain't making it into my Father's house. The wedding door is going to be shut because you're going to get shut out because you're not the spirit of love. Somebody's going to have to make a stand. We're going to have to do this, or America falls. These fault lines will all go off, And Yellowstone, which actually is not a volcano but a caldera, is going to get shook up really bad at all these earthquakes. And then I didn't even really go into you about the one in Virginia. When they had an earthquake in Virginia, they weren't expecting that. So they found them in the Carolinas. They found them up here. They have found earthquake zones all over the place. I don't have all the different listings. I watched videos on it. I watched documentaries, not politicians, documentaries, right? People that are talking geology, not politics. They weren't political agendas. And here's another kicker. Some of you guys are going to say that my truth is a lie because now it says that Yellowstone, that caldera, goes off every 600,000 years as average, I've heard, right? I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a geologist. I'm not a biologist. I'm a guy that listens to people that are supposed to be intelligent. But I also listen to churches that think they're intelligent and they got no intelligence. They're ignorant to the truth because they listen to people lie to them. If you go look at Revelation, you're going to see a completely different scenario with almost everybody you listen to. Do you think your preacher is so smart that he knows it all? I don't. I'm giving you an end game scenario. Maybe they're right and I'm wrong. You better pray I'm wrong, friend. Except you can see that I've got far more physical proof of what I'm talking about. We are the beasts that came up out of the earth. Rome is the beast that came up amongst many waters, which was many tongues, tribes, and nations, right? In Europe, where there's all these different countries. We were a frontier. We came up where there wasn't all these tongues, tribes, and nations, right? In a frontier. We actually were the one that got a clean slate. We could have done anything with this nation. What did we do? We stole it, enslaved some Indians, put them on reservations, which you all say you justify. But the truth of the matter is, they're still living in the desert on patches of ground. And you're still giving them government subsidies because you won't give them a better patch of land even, so they could make a living. Y'all are nuts. You're insane. This world is insane. And you all try to put logic to that. Africa, they've got children enslaved making the product, cobalt and stuff that you need for the batteries in your electric cars. So by indirect route, you're a slave owner, right? If you're going to bring on everything electric cars to create those batteries, you have to enslave children. I don't care why you think you're doing it, friend. My Father's holding this nation accountable. We're the ones who gave Satan flesh, Megacorp. We're the ones who perfected a publicly traded corporation and infected the world with it. Don't think there's not a debt, because we are a Christian nation. Christian nation. That makes us the Valley of Gehenna. We are from the tribe of Judah. Back in, I think it was Jeremiah's time. The tribe of Judah, there was a group in a valley, and they used to sacrifice their children on an altar to a god called Moloch. We are sacrificing our children on the altar to our corporate gods. We are the Valley of Gehenna. My Father's giving you a chance to repent. I'm the messenger who came to tell you, repent or pay your debt. You know that Mystery Babylon, he's talking about judging in a day. With the Canadian Shield protecting Canada, and since Mexico's on a different tectonic plate, that leaves America set up for judgment. He can wipe you out in a day with all these fault lines, Yellowstone. He can do things you just haven't even thought of, friend. And this is the problem. It isn't going to go the way you think, because only the elect are going to survive. The point of that is they're going to be the witnesses to what happened. What we did what God did, and that Revelation played out just as it said it would, right? I was trying to, that guy I was talking to earlier that I was going to just leave on this video that I was talking to. If you go look, you will see that the Euphrates River is already 60% dried up. And I think they got all these dams in there to keep cities water. So I can't tell you, but all I can tell you is Euphrates River is drying up. Caves have surfaced. If there was 4 angels hidden under the Euphrates River, they could be out by now, couldn't they? Because of all those cave entrances that have opened up. Now, the truth of the matter is, do I believe that there's 4 literal angels hidden under the Euphrates River? Not really. That is not what my father showed me. But it is a message, a coded message of the sign of the times. Because if there were 4 literal angels being held out down there, which we know angels don't even have physical form, so it's not like they would really need to have a cave to get out, right? It's not like the water, they just come up, you guys don't even get it. A lot of this is code. My father coded everything out so you wouldn't know it until it was time. You have to have a free will choice. If he tells you the truth, you've got no free will. If you know there's a God, then you would do what he said. So you can't know by proof, or else you don't have a free will choice, and therefore nobody knows love by experience. Because you have more to give to those that have less. That is rising in the spirit of love. To him that much is given, much is required. Him that gives nothing, even what he has will be taken away. Do those words sound familiar? Those are Christ's words. So I hope you're getting what I've been saying. So I've just given you, and there's a whole lot more. I'm not going to even go into it all. You've got China getting ready to want to invade Taiwan. You've got corporate China owning all kind of processing plants and food supplies throughout our country, right? You've got people from the Middle East that own crops that are using so much water, they're killing our own American cattle, and nobody will do anything about it. You get that, right? I watched that on a documentary. I don't know whether it might be in Clues of the Kingdom. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Not everything got in there, right? I've got like so many in there, you'll be overwhelmed just looking at the list I got, just trying to figure it out. Some of them religious. But do not think that everything that I have on that list is like absolutely true, because there's a lot of Christian stuff I put on there that I think the person that was talking lied for probably 27 minutes of the 30 minutes. But something in that 3 minutes I thought was worth hearing. A clue to the kingdom, right? So there's all these people that are talking about beliefs on there that I don't believe. But they were giving you a connection. Some of them are talking about the one world order. Some of them went on there because of that. I want you to understand that Christians have awakened. The Christian church is awakening. The bride is awakening. Do you have oil for your lamp? Which 5 are you going to be? The 5 with oil or the 5 without oil? Because the ones without oil, he said by the time they went and get to the store to get oil, door to the wedding would be closed. These are Jesus' words, not mine. These are the words in red, friend. I hope you're getting this. All right, friend, well, just know I love you because my Father loves you. That's it. I'm not saying all this to scare you, but I want you to get that there's so much going on. It's far greater than what you think. I saw my Father in the beginning. I was with him in the beginning. You can't see him. He doesn't have form. I can't even explain to you the experience. It was the most terrifying experience I ever had and the greatest gift he ever gave me, and I completely get why he creates. I completely get that he has to create a dichotomy so that we can know love by experience, because love is an experience. A man that is of Satan, that beats on his wife, he will beat her up and then beg her to stay and say he loves her. What in the hell do you call that? Is that love? That's selfishness, right? He's only telling her he loves her because he might think he loves her, but he doesn't even know what love is, because if that's what you do, then if somebody was loving him that way, he wouldn't call it love, right? Y'all just aren't making sense of nothing. You guys are completely insane. Christianity is insane. None of you will think about it. Jesus was giving you a psychological message, telling you how to enter the kingdom right here, right now. And those that enter and survive tribulation, meaning don't do what he told you not to, right? If you're going to steal from your neighbor and go kill people, well, you're not making it into the kingdom. Christ told you offenses must come, but woe to those who bring them. Are you getting that? I've told you so much, and people are hearing so little, and they completely just won't get it. And I can't make you get it. I've given it to you every which way I know how. The kingdom is so great, I can't tell you what it is. Christ told you the kingdom is like, the kingdom is like, the kingdom is like. He was talking about the kingdom here. I've been telling you that. I've been giving you some of those examples. Go listen. All right, friend. Just know I love you because my Father loves you, and may God bless you and yours. Well, friend, this is our view today. Since I don't have the gimbal, I have to do this manually.